The first of television to really bank on that notion. But Cathouse was glamorizing the sex trade, it was glamorizing pimps, it was not looking at the suffering of the women who are in these brothels. So after 4 years, I left HBO. I went to this organization called Equality Now. And when Cathouse aired for the first time, we wondered at the time how we would deal with sexual exploitation as entertainment.
I try to make it as nice as possible, so they don't really want to leave. They want to stay here and have fun.
There's free-flowing alcohol and everybody's laughing. There's a pool. I mean, it's a beautiful marketing ploy to recruit.
There's more than
young,
alcohol.
vulnerable women to try it out.
Way more than alcohol.
Underage girls who weren't quite 18 sending him nude photos and things like that. He loved the idea of hiring a girl and having her start when she was 18 years old. He loved young girls because you can control them. It's all about control.
Yep.
He had people that worked for him that would sit outside Dayton High School and Carson High School, tried to recruit young women. There's a restaurant really close to the Bunny Ranch. He would host teen nights. He would talk to the girls. Like, you're so pretty. When you get older, I would like to have you come and work for me. It was grooming, absolutely, 100% grooming, manipulation.
So when I first got onto the Bunny Ranch website, I was looking at all the girls and seeing who was there, and of course the famous ones were there. And then I noticed their sister brothels, and I was like, well, okay, maybe I should apply to one of these. I actually applied for Kit Kat because the Bunny Ranch is kind of intimidating. And on the day that I was traveling towards Nevada and the brothels, I was definitely nervous, but more than anything excited. But upon arriving to the actual location, at first I was like, wait a minute, we're out here in the boonies, it doesn't look like that on the show.
When I arrived at the Bunny Ranch, it was this little almost trailer looking house, and I got there while they were filming Cathouse. It was really eerie. There was all these young girls there, and I remember when they were filming some scene, it was I remember hearing the loud footsteps as they were kind of running through the halls playfully with the cameras and trying to make it out like it was this playful time. And I had already been a prostitute for about 5 years when I arrived at the Bunny Ranch. So I knew that these kids had no idea what it's really like. They had no clue what prostitution takes out of you. Your dignity, your worth as a human being, your treatment in society, it is not like Cathouse.
The first time I met Dennis, and I was like, holy shit, this really is Dennis. From I seen this man on TV, and he welcomes the new group of the week, and that's where he does the rundown of how money splitting works and to follow the Bunny Bible and don't be disrespectful. The house rules definitely made sense to me.
Yeah, I remember the Bunny Bible. I remember learning all these rules. They definitely try to just legitimize prostitution in the brothels, that this is a normal employee workplace, this is HR.
The Bunny Bible was all the rules. There's always a lot of rules.
Condoms are required.
There was no drugs allowed.
You could choose who you slept with.
Don't do anything sexual in the parlor. But the rules didn't apply to Dennis.
These rules are from the perspective of this is to keep you safe. It felt like just a way to control all the women.
I'm a businessman who supplies a place and an opportunity for ladies to work, and we share the proceeds. The last thing I am is a pimp.
I remember standing at my first lineup. It was so weird. The bell rings and that a customer has showed up, and everybody has to hurry up and get there for the lineup so he can look at each person.
And it was always like a nerve-wracking experience because you're standing there in a lineup of just the most beautiful woman on the face of the
Line
planet.
up like
And
cattle.
I am 4'8" and I have colleagues that are like 6'2", and I'm like head level with her boobs.
My first lineup. Of course I was nervous, I had no idea like would I even be good at this.
Dennis always said that sex work empowered women. The power's in the negotiation.
You are merchandise. You negotiate prices based on, if I knock my price down $50 and he thinks I'm pretty, maybe he'll go with me instead of her.
The first time that I ever did the full service sex work, I thought, what if this dude starts off good, but then halfway through switches up? Like, what if he attacks? Men are scary. I was like, oh, this job is gonna be a little harder than I thought. And then very quickly in this line of work, they really don't give a what you look like as long as you're blonde and white. So that was very disheartening, and it was very difficult for me to make money at first.
What Cathouse doesn't say is that it's much easier to get in than it is to get out. It's very, very hard to get out.
Classic small town America.
They're having some hot, sweaty dude hunching over you and trying to get whatever rape fantasy he has in his mind played out, like by choking you or whatever position that his wife won't do. This is access to your body, to your soul. There's no work that takes out of you what prostitution takes out of you.
Look, Dennis's world was buying and selling people.
Dennis traded human bodies just like he would have a used car. You are a product that is to be bought and used and then discarded. And women are just commodities.
People are working on developing new product for me right now in the backseat of a car somewhere. And in 18 years from now, they'll be coming to work for me.
Dennis Hoff took whatever rules he used in his timeshare practice to prostitution in Cathouse. You see every single one of these rules in practice.
It's the customer's job to get you to do this free or for very small money. It's your job to take their house and their car and their 401k plan. Now, somewhere in the middle, you got a happy buyer and a happy seller.
It's really important to note that what Dennis is giving the women advice on how to negotiate higher rates, that it also is self-serving, because the Bronco has a 50-50 split, meaning that the house gets 50% and the women get 50%. But the women don't even take home 50% because they also have to pay for supplies.
And taxed.
Dennis does the rundown of how we split it. He was doing the 50-50, and I was like, okay, that's fine. And then he said, oh, well, that includes tips. And I'm like, that's horse. And then he's like, that includes gifts.
Yeah.
So he's had a girl split a car that one of her clients gave her.
I remember that.
Made her like pay out the other half of the car.
Yeah.
And I'm over here like, why did you tell him? Why did you tell him?
They booked $1,000 maybe on a good day. When they got paid out, the brothel took their $500. Now, from the girls' $500, they're given a card that shows all the money that was deducted.
They don't explain that your room and board is going to be coming out of your 50% of the money.
$45 a day, 7 days a week.
So is all your supplies.
We had to buy our clothing, we had to buy the condoms.
Get her hair and her makeup done.
We had to buy the lube, we had to buy the sex toys.
Pay the photographer.
$80 for the sheriff card. You have to pay if you want to do your laundry. You need to tip the housekeeper. You need to tip the staff. The cashier expects the tip. Everybody's got their hands in that money.
They take as much money as possible. Your little 50% just basically dwindles down.
And that was the norm. And you would sit there at the cashier when the money came in, and you would hear over and over again, is that all I got?
You could go days without having a client. But the tab grew, and it grew, and it grew, and you become constantly trying to pay off your tab. That's why it was called debt bondage.
There are many girls there that are falling in debt, and that's a position you don't ever want to be in at the brothel. That means that whenever a customer finally does pick them, they have to do whatever he wants, no matter if they want to or not.
The brothel is designed to make money for the pimp, for the house. It's not at all in favor of the women that work there. And the brothel owner always wins.
I saw women come into the brothel and they had a certain set of boundaries. For instance, they didn't do certain types of sex acts. But as they became more and more desperate and they needed money, their personal boundaries changed. Suddenly they were doing things that they didn't feel right about. They lost themselves. When you're desperate, you don't have a choice. You're going to do what you can to survive. And that's not empowerment at all.
A daddy's hard to shop for?
I learned very quickly that it wasn't like this show, that a lot of the men that would come through there were very racist. And I was like, oh no, I should totally be making more money, but I know I am not. It made me angry. And then I just started talking to the men, and they'd be like, all right, sold. It was weird. I had to be mean to get bookings. The meaner I was to them, the more they booked. Because it's like they wanted to see a brown girl get riled up or something. It just sucked again that I had to work harder than I should have. And then meanwhile, you could see the white women walk out with just their PJs and get picked. The reality isn't the same as this show.
So when Cathouse first was being aired, we decided to protest HBO. The protest was in front of HBO headquarters in Manhattan.
It is absolutely critical that HBO take a very close look at the type of programs they put on the air that actually degrades and objectifies women and girls.
I just remember people walking by, like they didn't quite understand like why we were protesting or what the problem was with Cathouse, like what are they talking about? So it was the only way to raise awareness about abuse and what the impact of mainstreaming violence does to human beings, especially women and girls.
The show was mainly produced by women. That is, Sheila Nevins was at the top, and everybody under Sheila on the HBO side were all women, and Patty Kaplan, who was the director-producer of the show.
The New York Post gave you a bad review. They said, this is a bad infomercial for hookers. They say it's not journalistic, it's trite, it's phony. Maybe even more damning, they say it's boring. Were you trying to do sort of a journalism so not boring? Right here we see a business transaction. The guy looks like he's ordering up the menu at McDonald's. It's something nobody's seen. Nobody's seen, and only HBO can do this kind of a programming.
Why is Sheila Nevin of HBO leading this culture in her network? Can someone please call Sheila Nevins down here now? Sheila! Can you hear me, Sheila? Can you come down here? There's a few people that want to talk to you. We want to know why you think this is the way to build a successful network.
The people who make money from the sex trade, they are unbelievable marketers. They wanted prostitution to be mainstreamed, they wanted to be normalized, and Mr. Pimp Dennis Hoff, the ultimate marketer, tried to do that.
Hello, thank you for having me here at the world's oldest university to discuss the world's oldest profession, prostitution.
It's the oldest profession? That's a slogan, it means nothing. It's the oldest form of oppression.
You know what the exploitation is? The exploitation is on us men who don't get enough variety, quality, or type of sex that we want. That's exploitation.
I was a high school dropout, and I mean, I was homeless. And so I was forced into prostitution at 17 years old. My pimp had forced me to get a fake identification that showed me as older. The reason I went to the Bunny Ranch was because I had another pimp. I was forced to go work at the Bunny Ranch because my pimp would send us there. We were getting arrested too much in Las Vegas, and our face was getting too known by the vice. I was being pimped out by one man to be pimped out by another man, Dennis Hoff.
I've had firsthand knowledge of Dennis and Suzette working with pimps who supplied them with women. If a pimp has a reputation of having very well-trained women who aren't a problem, they're probably the best working girls are some of the ones with pimps. They're terrified, they're controlled, they've been trained, they've been indoctrinated. That's a lot less work for the brothel.
Suzette and Dennis both knew all the girls that were being trafficked that had pimps outside of the brothel. Do you know the girls that are getting beaten? I mean, the branding that we would have, we would have the same matching tattoos. It was my pimp, his initials, that's where all of our brands were, was on the back of her neck. So I wound up covering that with a big treat. They didn't care about my situation at all. All they cared about was I performing? I never felt like there was somebody that I could have said anything to. It just felt like no one cared.
Management did not care if you were being called some type of slur, but if one of the black or brown girls said anything to hurt one of the little white girls' feelings, like we were seen as the aggressor, and we would immediately get us talking to in the office. That's where it's like, man, this is brutal out here.
Our system is flawless.
Happened to the
We
white
just
girls
don't have any
too.
problems. And that's why we don't have any underage girls in here.
The brothels try to say like, oh, well, there's no trafficking that takes place in brothels. That is simply not true. When I had to go to the local sheriff's office to get your local sheriff's card to work at the Bunny Ranch, I had my fake social security number, my fake address, my fake birthday, my fake name, and here I was in this state licensing agency getting a work card to go work for this legal pimp. The whole system just encouraged itself. I was constantly checking in with my pimp over the phone via text message, letting him know kind of how much money I had, and he would tell me if I needed to go put X amount of money in the bank. It felt like I was kind of free for a moment. I almost felt like I was back to being normal in a way, that I was able to drive my own car and go and do something. But then I had to go right back. I had to turn around and go right back in through the gates. And that is the moment I realized that while I was at the Bunny Ranch, I gave Dennis Hoff 50% of the money, and I gave my other pimp 50% of the money. I was literally having sex with strangers for nothing.
Individual ground up on foot.
That's more than double the legal limit.